Well, BP shares continue to tumble as the company's latest solutions to stop the oil leaking into the Gulf have failed. Kathy Mileston covers the company for Morningstar. She joins us now to talk about it. As you said, Kathy, you've been writing certainly a lot on this. We read your latest note. And let's talk about BP's latest estimate that this disaster has cost the company about $990 million. Sounds like a lot of money to most people, but for a company that had $246 billion in revenue last year, it's still relatively small, right? But there are still a lot of unknowns that you are concerned about.
Right. I mean, right now they have as of the last quarter, they had about $6.8 billion of cash on the balance sheet, and they've got capacity to borrow additional debt up to over $10 to $13 billion. So there's certainly room, but the bigger question is, how big will these oil spill recovery costs get to? And as you know, with every new a solution or every new option that they're trying, it's going to cost them more money. And at the same time, with each day that oil spill continues to filter into the Gulf of Mexico, the ultimate cleanup costs are going to be higher as well.
And it seems like the consensus estimate that a lot of people are going with right now in terms of how much oil is spilling a day is somewhere between 12 and 19,000 barrels. And you pointed out in your note that the cost, including civil penalties, could be upwards of $4,300 a barrel. So do the math day by day. It really stacks up here for BP.
Yeah. Yes, it could. It could. And really the big question now is we need an entity to determine how many barrels are actually being spilled into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it's just a rough estimate, even by the government officials, for example, that set the new range. It could build if we get, let's say, 180 days at the full maximum civil penalty at $4,300 per barrel spilled. It could add up to well over $30 billion. But that will take several years for that kind of math to work itself out.
But Kathy, what about the reputational damage here? I mean, how much does that actually impact this company in a financial way?
Well, there is certainly a reputational hit here. The question is how well BP will be perceived in responding to this, and ultimately how it resolves itself.
Can you equate this to anything that might help people understand what the damage could be here to BP long term, or what it might not be?
That gets difficult because it really, at this stage, this oil spill has become one of the larger disasters that have affected the oil sector here. So even if I were to draw a comparison to other oil companies, you can very quickly say, but this is different. This is much larger than some of the other entities.
You know, you have put a range of $4 to $10 billion on sort of the estimated damage costs here. What is that based on? What metrics are you looking at?
Well, that 4 to 10 is really two components, and that 4 to 10 is related to what we can see as the near-term costs of actually stopping the oil, and that includes all the apparatus that they're trying to develop right now. Mm-hmm. And second, the recovery. There is going to be a larger component that will work itself through the next several years that could be greater, and it's related to the potential civil liabilities and the regulatory fines that come out of the investigation.
Finally, Transocean, it's just not getting that much attention in all of this. Why is that? Is the financial impact to Transocean not as large? I mean, they were operating the rig, or does it come down to the fact that, well, it was BP's rig?
The oil that is spilling out of the Macondo well is now the producer's responsibility. So where BP and its partners are responsible is how do you contain the oil flowing out of that well, and also to be responsible with the potential cleanup afterwards.
The onus lies on BP here, no question about it.
Yeah.
Kathy, thanks a lot for your analysis. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.